A detective tricks a guilty suspect into confession by Dr. Insanity. Let's do this.
Where she is.
Where is Savannah?
No. Where did you go with her? I know you're not that cruel inside. I'm begging you, Lee. Just tell us.
I don't know where she is.
This is Lee Rodarte.
Do you think girl cops, or like detectives, do you think they like flirt with criminals to try to get them to actually tell them like where a dead person is, for example? Do you think that would actually work? I'm really curious if female cops or male cops. I just feel like it's more likely for a female cop to just flirt with a person of interest, like suspect, to try to figure out where the dead person is, or like if get an admission of guilt out of them. If you're a cop and flirt with me, I would snitch on the whole op. I would snitch a whole. Yeah, but they're like allowed to lie though. May 17 is my birthday. They don't have like that. I think they're allowed to lie. They're allowed to lie. Well, not like unless you're signing a document, right? They can't do that. It would be unprofessional, but like it could work. I feel like it could work. Sorry. Anyway, back to this.
Into custody for being suspected of kidnapping and killing his co-worker, Savannah Gold. Ideas of where Savannah could be, the cops knew getting this interrogation wrong could mean they might never catch the killer. What's even worse is that Lee had a foolproof story that was going to make sure Savannah was never to be found.
I really think girl cops could just flirt with guys, or even guy cops flirt with girls, but I don't think that would work as well as girl cops flirting with guys to catch killers. I feel like that would work.
Lee, however, is under the impression that he is
not actual flirting. I mean like fake flirting, by the way.
Smarter than the detectives. Little did he know, this would be a massive mistake for him. On the 2nd of August 2017, Savannah's family received text messages stating she was running away and quitting her job. The messages were riddled with errors, causing her family to panic and report her as missing immediately. Throughout the investigation, the police were grasping at straws until they were suddenly sent the CCTV footage from the Bonefish Grill where Savannah worked. The video shows her getting into a silver car in the parking lot before it began to shake violently, with the door being thrust open and pulled shut 3 times. The car then drove out of the parking lot and Savannah was never seen again.
Yeah, at that point, if I'm a police officer, I'm like, okay, clearly something happened. If you just see someone get pulled into a car and the doors or the car start violently shaking.
Series of interviews, they discovered the car was
I think it's so much harder to get away with stuff now. I feel like it is so much harder to get away with stuff now than it was before, because you got cameras, forensics. Like after watching, I don't really watch crime shows, but after just listening to podcasts and stuff, it's insane the amount of tech that forensics actually have and can use to catch people. It's actually crazy now.
Identical to Lee Rodarte's, a manager at the grill and boyfriend to Savannah for around 2 months. Lee was immediately arrested on...
That's a good point, actually, on how people could say it's harassment, but I think they could only make that claim of harassment if it's like, they're just getting pulled over, for example. But if there's actual detectives on the case and you're a person of interest, and you're getting taken in to be interrogated, I guess. I mean, you know how people play good cop, bad cop. A female cop could just say, yeah, I was playing good cop, my partner was playing bad cop. And so I feel like you can't really fight that. If someone was to sue a police officer for flirting with them, they could just say, yeah, I was playing good cop.
On suspicion of murder and brought into the interrogation room.
Unprofessional, yes. Does it work? Yes.
However, he was told...
So if it works, is it really unprofessional? Your job is to catch killers. That is your profession. So technically, if this helps you catch killers, you're using your tools at your... You're using tools that you have to your advantage. I don't think good cop, bad cop holds up in court. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, I'm pretty sure cops can lie or withhold information. I guess you can withhold information to suspects. You can't, like, blatantly lie. Actually, I have seen people blatantly lie Like, I have seen cops on interviews blatantly lie. Yes, female detectives and male detectives are generally allowed to use various psychology tactics, including appearing friendly or even flirtatious to build rapport and elicit confessions, as long as it doesn't cross the line to coercion, threats, or violating a suspect's constitutional rights. There you go. So they are definitely allowed to. It could also get misused. Imagine an officer saying some freaky things, and they would just be like, "I was just playing. It wasn't real." Well, okay. You can't say, "Hey, if you tell me, then I'll let you take me home tonight." Like, they can't say stuff like that. That's coercion. That's literally coercion. You can't be like that, but you could be like, "Oh my gosh, you're so strong. I bet you strangled that girl, and you were probably good at it too, right?" That's fine because you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so strong. Purr, queen. I bet you used that hand to strangle her, didn't you? Didn't you? Huh? Just admit it. You're so strong, though. Can I feel your muscles? You're so strong."
Told by police it was for an unimportant traffic warrant, and that's when the following happened.
I'll stay right out here. You can go have a seat for me real quick. I'll be right back, okay?
Yes, sir.
Being told the detective will be right back obviously implies to Lee that he won't have to wait long to be seen. But it'd actually be 90 minutes before.
I just want to point out, he literally just lied. So you are literally allowed to lie. He said, "Oh, we'll be right back." An hour and a half later.
Before anyone enters the room again. Only a few days ago, Lee was interviewed about the disappearance of a girl he kidnapped, and now he's been handcuffed and taken into a police interrogation room.
I think saying your muscles you look so strong, I bet you strangled her. I think that's fine. As long as you're not making out with them. Yeah, you're appearing flirtatious. You're putting on an appearance that you like them to get a confession out of them by saying, "I bet you're so strong." All right, Lincoln, you got it, dude.
Lee will be feeling incredibly anxious now, but remember,
as long as you're not physically touching them, making out with them, saying, "I'll let you take me home if you admit that you killed them," right? Like, as long as you're not literally coercing them into a confession, I think it's fine.
He's confident that there's no way the cops have enough evidence to take him down. But unfortunately for him, the facade the detectives put...
I don't get me wrong, I totally see where you're coming from by saying that might be too strong of flirting. But at the same time, that's not going to hold up in court. That's not going to hold up in court by saying, "Yeah, they said I look strong, therefore they were coercing me into getting, or they were coercing or threatening me into getting a confession." That's not going to hold up in court. And innocent until proven guilty. And if you're not proven guilty, then it's innocent, which means you can do it.
Up is all about to be ripped away.
Okay, I don't stand by what I just said. Just because you're not proven and guilty in court means you can do it, because a lot of murders get away. So ignore what I just said, but it's not going to hold up in court, and it helps the good guys. I think it would be fine.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Good. You remember me from the other day, Detective Reeves? Okay.
You've never seen your mom's coworkers flirting with the people, so it's not. Oh, is your mom a police officer? And is it you who's your dad's a firefighter? Someone in yours dad is a firefighter. I'm saying specifically for this. I'm saying specifically for like detectives. And I think it would be more successful for female detectives. I'm not saying cops pulling over people at traffic, like doing a regular traffic stop. I'm not saying they can be like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in this scenario, when they're trying to catch a cold-blooded murderer, a little flirting should be allowed. Fake flirting.
This is my partner, Detective Staley.
The detective that enters isn't the same one that brought him in. It's the one who interviewed him about Savannah 3 days prior. Any comfort he found in thinking this was all unrelated has now been completely taken away and replaced with pure panic. But Lee's plan remains the same, so he tries to keep himself composed as he prepares for the onslaught of questions he's about to be hit with.
So, Savannah, you said that you knew her and you guys had, you knew her from work. I mean, just kind of fill me in with that. How long have you known her?
Like I said, I've known her obviously since she started working there. I would say probably about 8 months ago, we started hanging out outside of work. And at the time, I had a girlfriend. but kind of, we kind of connected, me and Savannah. So we hung out a little bit here and there, got pretty close. We come from, I guess, somewhat similar backgrounds, I guess you should say.
If you feel comfortable, what department is your mom in? I'm curious. Because I don't even know all the departments. That stuff just interests me.
The question Lee was given was, how long have you known Savannah? A question that surely merits a fairly simple answer. When hit with a question like this, people who have nothing to hide keep their responses short, taking the questions at face value. But people who feel pressured will usually extend their answers to questions in an effort to
Really?
seem as though they know what they're talking about. Something Lee will fall victim to.
So he's saying if you elaborate more than like if you're innocent, you're just gonna say, yeah, 3 years, 2.5. But if you're guilty, not in all cases, but if it gives signs to being guilty if you elaborate and be like, oh, we met on this date and we only became friends after this date.
So we kind of
That's
connected,
interesting.
hung out for a little while. I'd probably say a period of 2-3 months.
Okay.
And then she started using drugs a lot. I did them with her a couple times, and then she started to get heavy into them. And
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Dude, I would think this guy's guilty. I would genuinely. This guy's a tweaker.
so I kind of just try to
Not tweaker as in he uses drugs. Tweaker as in look at him.
take a step
Not look at him. Look at what he's saying.
back and, put things off. And then probably a month or so ago, I saw Savannah at work, and she looked healthy again,
Oh my gosh, this guy asked you how long you knew her for, not how healthy she looks. Oh my goodness.
So she gained a little bit of weight. We kind of were talking, here and there. We hung out a couple times. She came over to the house, and, we just kicked back, drink a couple beers, watch movies, stuff like that.
In total, Lee spoke for over 5 minutes in response
my
to a
gosh.
simple question, going so far as to detail specific encounters between the pair. Now that the detectives have even more reason to suspect that he may be hiding something, they decide to call him out on something small to gauge his reaction. In the first interview, Lee had told investigators he hadn't seen Savannah in a while. But if the CCTV footage is to be believed, this is a bold...
So those traffic department is like driving around, kind of like doing your normal traffic stops. No, it's like car related scenarios. It's car related scenarios.
faced lie.
And then as we hung out, after a couple of times, she brought drugs over. I told her, I was like, you're doing really good. You can't, you shouldn't be doing it again. I think we moved too fast. Split mutual ways.
Mutual. Right. Yeah.
And that was the last time.
Look at notice how the cop's like, yeah, dude, just your normal stuff. Like he's trying to agree with him to get more out of him. That's smart.
That we text.
Okay.
When was that? When was that?
It was probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Sometime in July.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things you said was that was the last time that you had contact with her.
Yes.
As far as, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I mean you correct me.
That was
at
the
any
last time that I texted her.
Yeah, text or a phone call or a messenger
Yeah.
or anything like that. 2 to 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. And then the last time, when was the last time you saw her?
This is what I was a bit. I didn't tell you the truth when we talked at Bonefish.
Okay.
Last time I saw her was. I didn't tell you the truth when we talked at Bonefish.
Okay.
Last time I saw her was Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
I heard that she has been basically telling a lot of people at work that we hooked up a bunch, like a couple days before that. So I met her
What, did he want to hook up with her and she said no, so he killed her? Is that what
in
happened?
the parking lot at Bonefish
When was this?
Wednesday afternoon.
Okay. Well, do you know what time or about?
It was about 5:30.
Okay.
Without realizing it, Lee has already provided us with enough evidence to assume he's guilty. We know he knew Savannah. He had the same vehicle seen in the footage, and he was present at the scene of the crime when it happened. Remember, Lee has no idea the cops have footage of the event. If he knew about it, he would have tried to provide an alibi that put him somewhere completely different. Unfortunately, though, this isn't quite enough evidence for the cops to get a guaranteed conviction.
This is what I'm talking about. They're literally withholding evidence because they don't have to tell him so that he self-incriminates.
Fiction. Instead, they need to push further to try and extract a full confession. Something that will not come easy at all.
I parked and I said, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And she said, yeah, what's up? And I was like, I heard you've been saying some things about me and you continuing to hang out, and you know that we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And she asked me, she said, can I come sit in the car because I just did some heroin and I'm a little paranoid.
It was never confirmed that Savannah did do heroin. Nobody in her life mentioned seeing or suspecting she used it. And even if she did, she was headed to a shift at her job as this conversation was taking place. If she was able to do that without getting paranoid, it seems strange she couldn't simply have a chat in the parking lot.
So she came and sat in the car, and I explained to her the situation. I told
Look
her
at his
that
leg
servers,
twitching too. Like that's another
Bonefish
telltale
were
sign. I mean,
coming to me and
it makes sense that people are nervous during interviews. I mean, I would be innocent or guilty, but like it doesn't help him.
You're telling people when you're out that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and I said, I need you to stop because for one, it's jeopardizing my job. We agreed to,
That would be terrible if he only did it because she rejected him. He sounds like a narcissist.
split,
I'll give him credit. He's not a complete idiot.
stop talking mutually and just move on. But it was nothing more than that. And she said, I'm going to do what I want. I didn't tell anybody anything. At that point, I got out and I punctured the hole in the tire. And I said, no, stop. And I said, don't do it again, or next time it's going to be worse. It's going to be your windows. At that point, she had her phone in her hand. She got out of the car and walked towards the main entrance from San Jose.
Obviously, this entire explanation was crafted to try and create an alibi as close as possible to what actually happened. But the few small inaccuracies are actually glaring windows directly into the truth.
Look at him put his glasses on like,
We know that Savannah never...
okay, so you said, let me get this straight. You said this. You said she walked towards San Jose's. But can you elaborate on the punctured hole in the tire and why she walked to San Jose? He
left the
puts his
vehicle in the
glasses
parking lot, and that
on.
she drove away with
He's
him
locking
just
in.
minutes after getting in. Lee is unwittingly constructing a mountain of evidence against him in the form of lies that he thinks he's getting away with. And he's not finished yet.
And it looked like she was either texting or calling somebody.
Okay.
Because as she started walking towards there's an entrance to the plaza. She was walking maybe towards this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say an older model Ford pickup, green,
Okay.
drove past me and around, and she got in.
Okay.
She
How long
got
do
in.
you think it was between the time that she got out and started using her phone till that green truck pulled up?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Okay. So wow. So if she called somebody, they got there in 5 minutes to pick her up.
Wow. How long do you think it took her to call someone and then they pick up? 5 minutes? Really? Interesting. Don't you think it's a little quick, Bucko? Don't you think that it's a little speedy of someone to pick her up in 5 minutes? Just something I noticed about what you're telling me. It just seems a little interesting that someone could pick her up in 5 minutes. I mean, that's pretty fast. Come on. But if you say so, though.
Well, I mean, like I said, it looked like she was going to call someone.
Officer, I swear, like I said, she was going to call someone. They just can't pick her up. Really? 5 minutes is a little quick. That's all I'm saying, though.
And that's when the green truck came around and she got in.
So she gets in the truck. What happened at that point?
They drove back around, kind of looped around a little bit.
Which way did they drive?
So I guess they exited that way, and at that point, I left.
Lee doubles down on the lie.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
thinking that this puts him
he's
completely in the clear, as he wouldn't have been the last person to see Savannah. But his decisions continue to work against him. Had he decided to stick closer to the truth, he might have been able to argue that he took Savannah somewhere else and then parted ways with her. But without the knowledge of what police have against him, Lee is left simply guessing and forced to make up stories on the fly. This is why it's so important to call a lawyer, innocent
Innocent or guilty, I stand by this. Call a lawyer. There are some bad cops out there. There are. That will try to pin you for things you did not do. If you're innocent or guilty, always call a lawyer. It's the smartest thing to do. It really is.
Or not. In an interrogation, detectives are allowed to both lie and withhold evidence from you.
Okay, so that just answered that question. They can lie and withhold evidence, so.
Putting you in a very difficult situation where you're at the mercy of their tactics and games. However, the second you bring an attorney into the mix, things get exponentially easier, as police are forced to turn over all of the evidence in their possession so they can put together a fair and sound defense for you. Calling a lawyer isn't just having a wingman at the interrogation room. It's an unlocked door that bypasses almost all of the police's tricks. It goes from them interrogating you to a legal battle. But, needless to say, Lee hasn't called a lawyer and has been left at a disadvantage from the beginning. If Lee was as smart as he thinks he is, he wouldn't have waived this right, and likely would be in a much better position.
What happened?
That was inflicted, actually.
Why?
Yeah, 1356, that one.
I just have been having kind of a hard time.
To your neck?
I couldn't. Yeah, I did. And
What did you use?
a knife.
When did you do that?
Some time in July.
You did that in July and it's still
Yeah.
bloody?
Sometime in July. It was a couple months ago. It's still bloody though. I heal slow. Officer. Like, I heal really slow. But it wasn't July. I just cut myself a couple times. I just heal slow.
Well, I kind of peel the scab here and there at work, hitting it on stuff like that. I peeled it last night working. And it was coming off a little bit today, so I peeled that a little bit.
All right, let me see.
But this was the same night. This one was just a lot worse
Yeah.
than this one was.
Okay. And that was in July?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't take a genius to realize how brazen of a lie this is. Aside from his incredibly unconvincing delivery of his excuses, Lee has no history with self-harm and was reported to have been in good spirits in the weeks leading up to this event. Furthermore, Lee becomes visibly anxious here.
That's a bad point. That's a bad point, what he's saying. Anyone that you know could be struggling with something. You can't just make you can't just assume something where, yeah, they look like they've been fine weeks leading up to it, so therefore they are fine. That's just a stupid point to make. So that's why I always say check up on your friends. You should always check up on your friends.
Most people have a tell that shows when they're lying or feeling uncomfortable. For many, this is crossing their arms or slouching in their chair, but Lee keeps his posture and position fairly consistent throughout
Go up, down. Okay, you do.
the interview.
You do.
Instead, Lee is prone to subconscious jittery movements in his limbs. Earlier in the interview, while being caught in his first
I pointed that
lie,
out earlier.
he bounced his leg
I pointed that out earlier.
repeatedly the entire time. Well, here, he moves his hand and fingers unnaturally every time he tells a lie. In fact, it's almost comical how perfectly it lines up with the false statements.
I met her in the parking lot at Bonefish
When was this?
Wednesday afternoon.
Psychology, like, it's so crazy. The psychology behind, like, tics and tells, it's just crazy to me. That's a long rabbit hole you can go down.
What happened to your neck?
That was self-inflicted, actually.
What did you
Oh yeah, and that's crazy. As soon as he says self-inflicted, he starts moving his fingers around.
use?
A knife.
It's also interesting to note that the detectives almost certainly noticed these marks just seconds into the interview. The decision to mention it now was a conscious one, done to try and build pressure. Lee would likely have anxiety regarding his last big lie about Savannah exiting his vehicle. Catching him so suddenly in a second lie right after will likely amplify these feelings and cause him to feel even more paranoia as the detectives continue. This is also likely why they immediately flip back to talking about the truck right after.
Could you see who the person in the truck was?
The truck had fairly tinted windows. I saw a baseball cap.
Yeah. You see a guy, girl, white, black?
I couldn't really tell if it was a guy or a girl.
Okay.
I just remember seeing the truck drive and her get in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm sitting in the front and the truck drives right past me.
Yeah.
And I saw a baseball cap through the passenger window.
Okay.
But
So did it seem like she knew the person?
You saw a baseball cap, but you couldn't tell if it was a guy or a girl. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, she got right in.
Lee, why didn't you mention this before since we've been looking for this girl? I mean, don't you think that information
I mean,
is important?
it definitely does. And I
Oh my gosh, you did give one a V.
regret obviously not saying anything before.
So when I come up and talk to you yesterday, I'm not threatening. I'm talking to everybody up there. What? Why?
Well, I just, I freaked out, to be honest with you. I mean,
This girl's missing?
yes.
Okay. But you know she's been missing. I mean, you had
How much money to spend? Do you even have all of it?
No,
I mean, obviously, I was the last one to see her, so
Yeah.
I was a little bit scared at that. And,
How do you know you just said you weren't the last one to see her. You just said somebody in a truck.
Well, I mean, the last one to see her at Bonefish.
Okay.
The last one she's heard from.
I mean, I just didn't tell you crucial information, police officer, because I was the last person to see her. I mean, I wasn't the last person to see her. I wasn't the last person to see her. I was just the last real person to see her. The fake person saw her that I just made up, but I was the last real person to see her. So that's just why I didn't tell you about this other person who saw her, police officer. You have to believe me. You gotta believe me. Just shut up, dude.
Right.
I had contact with that anybody knows of.
Sure.
The detective knows he's starting to catch Lee on the back foot, so decides to keep the pressure up.
So where's Savannah right now?
I don't know.
Where would I find her?
I don't know.
That's my prime objective is to find her.
Definitely.
And here's a couple reasons I need to find her. One is I'm hoping that she's still alive. And that's really, I really do, I'm holding out for that. And if she's not alive, then I think she and her family are due that knowledge. I think they need some closure. So where is she?
I don't know where she is.
Where is Savannah?
I don't know.
I need to know where Savannah is so I can
don't
let
know
her family
where
know.
she is.
You don't know because you had something done with her and you weren't involved in that part? I don't know. Tell me something. What can I work with?
I told you the last time I saw her.
But that's not true because we have proof. We have proof. And that's why we're sitting here, Lee. At this point, we need this for her. I mean, I look at that little girl and I think of my little girl. My little girl who's her age. That's who I think about.
Okay, I don't want to say the female cop is faking crying. I'm not trying to say that, but if she is, that would be genius, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Fake flirting with cop, crying. What if you see a female detective interrogating you and she starts breaking down crying? You're not thinking, "Oh my gosh, how do I defend myself?" You're thinking, "How do I help her feel better?" Right? Like, unless you're a psychopath narcissist.
That was my little girl. I couldn't imagine. I don't care what she said about you or whatever, but my little girl is that age.
Maybe.
And you're not telling the truth.
Maybe something gets out of hand in the car.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, you didn't do anything, but she was in your car. She never got out of your car. She never got out of your car. Lee?
This is where the true genius of these detectives start to shine. The initially quiet female detective suddenly starts to speak up.
And she's taking
The
over.
male detective had a very deadpan, professional demeanor throughout the interrogation, so having that suddenly contrasted by a vulnerable, emotional-looking person being thrust in front of him will likely come as even
I rest my case.
more of a shock to him, especially as she starts to become more emotive and even starts to beg him.
She never gets out of that car. And you drive off. She never gets out of that car. There is no green truck. And that's not right to her. We're fact finders, Lee. I don't have anything personal against you.
No, not at all. I mean, it's
We're
over.
just fact finders.
tell us
We're
what
just
happened.
doing
Where
our
is she?
job.
It's
We're
over.
just fact finders.
Tell us
We're
what
just
happened.
doing
Where
our
is she?
I'm just gonna take a sip of my water. Yeah, you got me in a lie. That looks bad. You got me in a lie. Let me just take a sip of my water. Did you get this? Is this tap water, or did you just buy this from the store? Cause this tastes pretty good. I know you just said that, like, you know I'm the murderer and all, but can we talk about this water for a second? Cause this water tastes pretty good. Let me just take a sip of water real quick, officer.
job. No.
I don't know. I don't know, officer. I swear I don't know, officer. Come on, you gotta believe me. I just realized some of these cops have to be good actors to play this off. Okay. Being a detective in this situation, cool. All the paperwork, no, boring. I wouldn't do that, but I would do this.
No, no.
This would be fun to do. Not fun, but I think I'd be good at this.
Where did you go with her? Where did you go with her, Lee? Be human. You're a human. You're a man. Where did you go with her? I know you're not that cruel inside.
Maybe you
And if you haven't lawyered up already, you say, I need a mother trucking lawyer right now.
Please.
maybe you don't know where she is now. Where did you go with her?
Please. I'm begging you, Lee. I know you're not an evil person. I don't see that.
She's actively gaslighting him.
That in you. I don't see that in your history. I don't hear those things about you at work. Is she still at your house?
No.
Okay. Is she still in your car?
No.
Okay. Well, then where is she? What was going on in the back seat? For the doors to be kicked open. She kicked open that door 3 times, Lee. She kicked it. We saw it. And you know I'm not making it up because I wouldn't know this because I wasn't there unless we had video of it, correct? Yes, correct. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just a fact finder.
I mean, she was upset. She tried to slap me. I slapped her. She went to get out. I grabbed her around her waist and said, "Where are you going?
What's
Why
up,
are you
Miko?
hitting me?" She calmed down.
Why would she leave with you after that? Why would
I
she?
mean, we've gotten arguments plenty of times where she says she doesn't care what happens or anything like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do wrong things, right? Sometimes people make mistakes. It's what you do afterwards. I got a family that needs closure. They are now coming to the reality that she's no longer with us. Do you want people to remember you as a guy who said, okay, look, I'm going to do the right thing? Or do you want your family and everybody else to think that you're some evil, heartless person who won't tell us where she is? I don't think you're that kind of guy. I don't think you're evil. Just tell us where she is. Closure for her family.
She was hitting me. She wouldn't stop, and I squeezed back. I just
Oh, really?
squeezed hard. Stop.
You squeezed her around her neck or around her neck?
She just wouldn't let go. I didn't let go.
Where is she now?
Please tell us where she is.
All I want to do is leave me alone. It's a pond on the west side of the Club du Clay
Club du Clay?
Yeah.
Okay.
at Longchamp.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a few days later, a dive team recovered the remains of Savannah Gold, burned and almost unrecognizable, so much so that her cause of death couldn't even be determined. Lee Rodarte pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder of Savannah and in March of 2021 was sentenced to 40 years behind bars.
40 years is brutal. I like those videos, though. I like those videos. 40 years is brutal. I mean, he killed someone. You got to pay the price. That was a good video. On to the next one.